Welcome back to STEM Spool, where I am using 3D printed models to explain concepts in science because sometimes things make so much more sense when you can actually see them in 3D. These models are based on this book here by Joan Horvath, and you can find it if you want to print along with these models. And I'm also uploading additional models to make a world for this. Heard that saying that we owe everything to being whatever distance from the sun and 6 inches of topsoil? I actually would alter it. I would say we owe everything to the hydrogen bond. And let me tell you why. This is a water molecule, or at least a model of one. The blue here is the oxygen, and the red is the hydrogen, H2O. We all know that. And when they bond together, the hydrogen and the oxygen don't actually split the electrons very equally because oxygen has so many more protons, it has a more positive charge, and so it pulls hydrogen's one electron further away from the nucleus, and you end up with what's called a polar molecule, where the oxygen ends up negatively charged because it has more of the electrons, and the hydrogens end up positively charged. And because they then have this polarity, they are attracted to other water molecules, and you end up with bonds between the hydrogen and the oxygen of a whole different water molecule. When water is in its liquid form, this doesn't matter all that much. It sits into the glass, it fills whatever container it has, that's what liquids do. But when it freezes into ice and it goes from a liquid to a solid, that's when the magic happens. When water freezes, these hydrogen bonds come into effect, and you end up with a crystalline structure that looks something like this, with hydrogen bonds shown here in white occurring between the hydrogen and the oxygen. This actually means that when water freezes, it takes up about 9% more volume than when it's a liquid. Almost every substance known to man does not do this. And that means that for the case of ice, when it freezes, it floats on top of the water because it is less dense. And that means that when our oceans, lakes, and rivers get ice caps on them, that ice stays at the top of the water. It does not sink down. If ice did not have less density and did not float on top of water, it would sink to the bottom and we would end up with frozen solid oceans all the time. It would have killed any chance at life developing on this planet, and it would be impossible for us to have evolved. So yeah, I would say that we owe it all to the hydrogen bond.